Morning, Abotai. Erev Shabbat Shalom. Yesterday we started discussing the halachot of changing one's location during a meal and whether or not he has to make a beracha. La halacha, we brought down that although there's a machloket, what exactly it means, changing mibait lebait, from house to house, everybody agrees that if a person actually changed from one house to another through a public domain, then a person would need to make a new beracha. Whereas if it happened within the same house, from room to room, b'di'avad, a person would not make a new bracha. There's a machloket rishonim, which foods does this apply to? Meaning, what was a person eating before he changed from one house to another that would require a new bracha? According to most rishonim and Maran Shulchan Aruch in Siman Kuf Ayin Chet, they hold that it doesn't really matter. All foods, including bread, if a person went from one house to another and wants to continue eating bread, a person would need to make a new Birkat HaMotzi. That's the opinion of Maran Shulchan Aruch. Nevertheless, the Rosh, Rabbeinu Asher, disagrees with this, and he says no. He says this only applies to fruits. Fruits are something that do not require, if a person eats fruits in one place, you don't need to go back to that place to make Beracha Acharona. However, bread is something that even if you ate, let's say you ate bread in one place and then you left, you're still obligated to go back to your original place to make Birkat HaMazon. And therefore, says the Rosh, that any food that you were eating that requires you to come back to your original place to make the Beracha Acharona, for instance, bread, if you changed from one house to another and you want to continue eating bread, the laws of changing location don't apply and you would not make a new bracha. That's the halacha according to the Rosh. Now, although it's a machloket between the Rosh and other Rishonim and Maran Shulchan Aruch, in cases like these, we apply the rule of safek berachot le'akel. And therefore, in a situation like this, if a person was eating bread and then he goes to, you shouldn't do this, lechat techila. But then you change, let's say it was Leil Shabbat or Yom Shabbat, you're in the middle of a bread meal, and then you go across the street to your friend's house, and then he says, come, eat, have some bread, la halacha ul ma'aseh. Person shouldn't have done that, but la halacha, he would continue to eat bread without making a new bracha, because out of reverence for the opinion of the Rosh and safek brachot le'akel. Now, we have to understand, if that's the case, if that's the halacha, what are the foods that require a person to come back to his original place to make bracha chanuna, such that you wouldn't make a new bracha rishona when you go to a new house? We spoke about bread. Bread, Birkat HaMazon, you need to go back to your original place to make it. Also, if a person ate mizonot items, Birkat ala mechya, you need to go back to your original place. Same rule would apply. You would not make a new bracha of mizonot on items if you cross the street to your friend's house. Now, there's a machloket between Poskei Sfarad and Poskei Ashkenaz. What about fruits of Shivat HaMinim? Dates, grapes, figs, pomegranates. If I ate it in one place, do I have to come back to make ala ayetz val pri ayetz in the place where I ate it if I left or not? According to Maran Shulchan Aruch in Siman Shud Aleph, the halacha is you do not need to come back. You can make ala ayetz wherever, even if you left. According to Ashkenazim, you have to make ala ayetz just like ala mechya where you ate. Therefore, according to us, for fruits of Shivat HaMinim, since you do not have to make bracha acharona in its place, if you transferred, you would make a new bracha of borei pri ha'etz in the new house that you went to, because you don't have to come back to make ala ha'etz in the place where you ate it. Whereas according to Ashkenazim, they have to come back to make ala ha'etz. If they transferred to another house, they would not make a new bracha rishona of borei pri ha'etz. Now, everything else, for instance, fruits that are not part of Shivat HaMinim, vegetables, any other foods which require she'akol, the halacha is all of these brachot acharonot are borei nefashot. Anything which requires the bracha acharona of borei nefashot, you do not have to come back to your original place where you ate to make that bracha acharona. And therefore, if you transferred, let's say a person was eating an apple, and then you go across the street to your friend's house, and now he offers you apples or any other fruits as well, the halacha is that you would, according to all opinions, need to make borei pri ha'etz or borei pri adama on the new foods that he gives you now. You would not be able to continue eating without a bracha. Have a wonderful day. Shabbat Shalom. Don't forget this evening, the earlier minyan 6:20 downstairs for early Shabbat, up here at 7 o'clock. Shabbat Shalom V'rach.